State employees are mud in various corruption allegations. The best example for this are the 3 state sector employees whose names were revealed at the Bond Commission yesterday for accepting bribes.
Honesty and dedication are rare words now among state sector employees. We begin the primetime news today with a look at the long-standing service of a dedicated and honest state sector employee. People of this nature are of true value to our country and their legacy must be honoured.
Deputy Commissioner General of the Inland Revenue Department, JCD Jayasekara, bid adieu to his workplace after 33 years of service. The Inland Revenue Department is my home. That is why I worship this place. I earned a living from this place. I leave office today as a public servant without leaving any debt to the nation. Thank you very much to each one of you.
Nishanka Nanayakara appointed as the new chairman of Litrogas. Attempted escape by Ukrainian prisoner foiled. When will the local government election be held? Elections Commissioner and Subject Minister speak. Former President Chandrika Kumartunga appointed as SLFP organizer of the Attanagala electorate. Wagama Mahindananda and Priyankara forced out. President's Counsel Nishanka Nanayakara has been appointed as the new chairman of Litrogas.
Issuing a media release, the Ministry of Public Enterprise Development noted that the appointment was made by the chairman of Sri Lanka Insurance, Hemaka Amarasuriya. Sri Lanka Insurance is the principal shareholder of Litrogas. President's Counsel Nishanka Nanayakara takes up the position after the former chairman, Shalila Munasinghe, was stripped of the position when he was placed in remand custody. Newly appointed Nishanka Nanayakara is the current legal secretary of the United National Party and a close associate of the UNP leadership. The release by the Ministry of Public Enterprise Development also noted that Nilu Vijayadasa has been appointed to the newly created position of Executive Director of Sri Lanka Insurance. Based on a directive by the Cabinet Committee on Economic Management, the Ministry of Public Enterprise Development has issued instructions to annul the positions of Joint Managing Director and establish a new position, the Executive Director. Joint Managing Directors of Sri Lanka Insurance, Aruna Siriwardana and AMR Bansaja, have stepped down from their posts. The release further notes that Sadi Dawood has been appointed as a Director of Sri Lanka Insurance. Anura Siriwardana served as a Joint Managing Director of Sri Lanka Insurance and occupied a seat on the Board of Directors for Litrogas. There are questions being raised with regard to the 2017-2018 gas tender and the procedures adopted. Charges are being levelled that Oman Trading, which is a state institution of Oman, was overlooked in the tender process although it had passed the tender criteria. The tender was eventually offered to Shell Gas. Civil activists notes that since Oman Trading is a state institution of Oman, Sri Lanka government could have negotiated a better deal with them. During a Litro Board of Directors meeting held on the 17th of August, Director Aruna Siriwardana had raised a number of issues with regard to the transaction. Reports note that he had even been annoyed by the fact that board members had been excusing themselves from the meeting to answer frequent phone calls. Sri Lanka Insurance is the principal shareholder of Litrogas, and in turn Sri Lanka Insurance comes under the purview of the Minister of Public Enterprise Development, Kabir Hashim. Charges are being levelled that a personal secretary of the minister, who is also a relative, had intervened in the gas deal. Incidentally, Minister Kabir Hashim was called before the Bond Commission recently.
2 employees from Perpetual Treasuries Limited were questioned at the Presidential Commission of Inquiry. Sufik Farzan reports on Bondgate.
The chief dealer of Perpetual Treasuries Limited, Nuan Salgado, was cross-examined by President's Counsel Kalinga in the Tissa today. Now, in response to questions, Nuan Salgado said the document that he produced yesterday was recovered from his desktop computer and he deleted the original from the computer in mid-2015. President's Counsel Kalinga Indatissa went on to point out to the Commission that CAR or car actually refers to the purchase of a Toyota FJ Cruiser Jeep to the tune which is valued of 11 million rupees. He also produced documentation to prove that. He went on to then say that the payments recorded under the code name Charlie are in fact payments made by Perpetual Treasuries Limited to its group companies, Perpetual Capital Private Limited, Perpetual Asset Management Private Limited and W.M. Mendes and Co. Now today when the proceedings were going on, Justice Prasanna Jayawardena said that at a morning program today, a person claiming to be a television advocate had made false and inaccurate and incorrect statements about the process that is taking place. Justice Prasanna Jayawardena said that the Commission is carefully considering these comments and will be considering taking action in the near future. He said that would be discussed later on, but there was no discussion, however, during the course of the proceedings today. Nuan Salgado today stood by his affidavit and said all the information that he has mentioned in the affidavit are true. He said the code name Charlie was only referred to the point person of contact at the Employees Provident Fund. He said from July 2014 to December 2014 and until March 2015, he used this document to record all the payments that he was instructed to record by Kasun Palisena, the Chief Executive Officer of Perpetual Treasuries Limited. Nuan Salgado said that because this document was maintained by him under the instructions of Kasun Palisena in a very secret manner, he strongly believed that these were payments that were being made to PTL informants for providing sensitive information regarding the markets and the prices in relation to government securities. Nuan Salgado said that Charlie always refers to the Employees Provident Fund. And from 2014 to 2015, it was Udaya Seelan who was the point person of contact at the EPF, and thereafter it was Saman Kumara. Meanwhile, a dealer at Perpetual Treasuries Limited by the name of Kaushita Ratnavira also testified today. Now he said that at some occasions Kasun Palisena would instruct him to collect a check from the accountant at W.M. Mendes and Co. Thereafter, he is instructed to cash that check and bring the money back to Perpetual Treasuries Limited. Kaushita Ratnavira said that when he brings it back to Perpetual Treasuries Limited, he hands it over to Kasun Palisena, but he does not know what happens to the money thereafter. President's Counsel Anuj Premaratna, appearing for W.M. Mendes and Co. as well as Arjun Aloysius, said that directors and shareholders of private limited companies have the right to withdraw money from the companies as and when they please, as long as the money is not used for illegal purposes. At this point, Kaushita Ratnavira said that he hoped that the money that he brought in was not used for illegal purposes. Meanwhile, Arjun Aloysius was present at the Supreme Court today for a case pertaining to Perpetual Treasuries Limited.
The fundamental rights petition filed by Perpetual Treasuries Limited owner Arjun Aloysius seeking the cancellation of the Monetary Board directive which suspended the license for PTL to operate as a primary dealer was taken up today. The petition will be taken up for consideration again on the 19th of October. Today the petition was taken up before the bench comprising of Chief Justice Priyasad Depp and Justice Priyanta Jayawardena. Attorney at law Gamini Marapana, appearing for the petitioner, said the names of the respondents in the petition need to be substituted. Considering the application, the justices permitted the petitioners to make the amendments. The petitioners pointed out to the Supreme Court the fundamental rights have been violated as the Monetary Board had decided to suspend Perpetual Treasuries Limited's license to operate as a primary dealer without a just investigation and without calling for explanations. They requested court to issue an interim order to suspend the decision taken by the Monetary Board until a decision is made on the petition. The Governor of the Central Bank, the 3 Deputy Governors, the Monetary Board and the Attorney General have been named as the respondents in the case.
JVP General Secretary Tilwin Silva shared these views on the UMP during a seminar held
They said that the UMP is good at managing things and that the economy would improve if they are in power. But what has happened today? We don't know if the UMP is capable of fixing the economy, but it's been proven that the UMP is capable of cleaning out banks. The way they cleaned out the central bank is a historic one. The Prime Minister as well as the Finance Minister were on it. They were supposed to protect the central bank, but they have cleaned it out instead. Details have been revealed through the Bond Commission. Arjuna Mahendran revealed at the Commission that it was the Prime Minister who gave advice to issue the bonds. So the Prime Minister is involved. Next, it was revealed that the then Finance Minister Ravi Karunanayake summoned the heads of 3 state banks and advised them. Not just banks in Sri Lanka, the friends of the UMP have gotten together to clean out a bank in Taiwan as well. And on to a story that made it to the headlines. Now, an imprisoned Ukrainian national who was brought to the Colombo Chief Magistrates Court attempted escape from custody today, prompting prison officials to open fire before recapturing the fugitive. A Ukrainian couple who have been sentenced to death in connection to a double homicide were brought before court today in connection to a separate case regarding the violation of immigration and immigration laws. The Ukrainian national had attempted to escape custody as he was being escorted out of the courthouse. 3 prison officials had tussled with the Ukrainian national and 1 prison officer opened fire. Our correspondent notes that one of the prison officers suffered minor injuries to his foot. Thereafter, the suspect was transported to the prison complex once again. The suspect and his wife were sentenced to death on the 14th of July 2014 in connection to the murder of 7-year-old Jason Kim and Daisy Manohar, as well as the attempted murder of Victoria Kim on the 23rd of February 2010 in Rajagiriya.
Former President Chandrika Bandaranaike Kumaratunga has been appointed as the SLFP organizer for Attanagalla.
She will be appointed as the SLFP organizer for Attanagalla. We thank her for continuing to protect and providing strength to the party. The Attanagalla electorate has a proud political history. We would like to extend an invitation to former President Mahinda Rajapaksa as well to accept an electorate such as Beliatra if he wants to. This will help us to lead the SLFP to victory. General Secretary of the UPFA, Minister Mahinda Amaravira, noted that Kumara Velgama and Mahindananda Alutgamage have been removed from the position of SLFP organizer for Matugama and Nawalapitiya respectively. Minister Amaravira also noted that President Maithripala Sirisena has taken steps to appoint former Minister Priyangani Abeddigwa as the new electoral organizer for Matugama, while Central Provincial Councillor H.A. Ranasinghe has been appointed as the SLFP organizer for Nawalapitiya. Former Minister Priyanka Rajaratne has also been stripped of his position as SLFP organizer for Anamadua. Minister Dayasiri Jayasekara revealed that North Central Provincial Councillor Ananda Sarat Kumara will be appointed to the position.
Minister of Provincial Councils and Local Government Faiza Mustafa met with the Chairman of the Elections Commission, Mahinda Deshapriya, today to officially hand over the gazette relating to the number of members for local government bodies. Meeting took place at the Elections Secretariat.
The minister stated that the gazette will be published on Tuesday. We will need a maximum of 75 days and a minimum of 60 days. During the commission meeting, we will decide when we can issue the notice to begin accepting nominations. When the election will be held and when we begin accepting nominations will be decided on the 19th.
The chairman of the Elections Commission shared these views after the meeting with the subject minister.
It will take about a week for the local government bodies to break down the electoral list at the electorate level. We believe that this gazette can be issued before the end of this month. The decision needs to be taken by the Commission as a whole. However, we believe that we will be able to hold the election in January. The ball is in the minister's court. We believe that he will hand it over to us on the 17th. We hope to have discussions with the parliamentarians representing the estate sector and the Nuwara district over the weekend. We will have to split up the Nuwara and Ambagamu areas into 5 local government bodies. As soon as this is done, we will publish the gazette. We have also held discussions about Puthukudi and Maritime Pattu with the Attorney General. We have presented this before Parliament and we had to do some work on it.
Well, before we head on to a commercial break, tonight's cartoonist Asanka Ladoheti gives us his interpretation of today's news.
A hartal was staged in the northern province today, calling on political prisoners to be freed.
Day-to-day activities in the northern province came to a standstill today due to the hartal. Government offices in certain areas were also closed today due to the hartal. Our correspondent in the area noted that the short-distance bus service were non-operational during the day. A protest was also staged opposite the office of the Northern Province Governor, calling on political prisoners be freed. This is a fair request. Their cases need to be expedited. The Minister of Justice is well aware of it and she is working on it as well. There are certain politicians in the north who stage hartals and other disruptive acts. They are not political prisoners. We have studied this issue as well. Pablo de Greve, UN Special Rapporteur on the promotion of truth, justice, reparation and guarantees of non-recurrence, spoke at an event held in the Jaffna Public Library today.
It is very difficult to bring to justice each and every perpetrator of a human rights abuse and to punish him in exact proportion to the harm that they have suffered. It is very difficult to disclose the whereabouts of each and every victim and the name of each and every collaborator in the violence that took place. And it is very difficult to reform all the institutions that either allowed or collaborated in the commission of violations in the short run. Nevertheless, collectively, as a group, when the efforts are coordinated with one another, they can lend each other some support and increase their effectiveness, as we know empirically that has happened in different parts of the world.
The Audit Services Union points out that proper approval has not been granted for the audit bill. It was, however, revealed at the media briefing to announce the cabinet decisions this week that approval was granted to the audit bill.
The media has been informed through the cabinet spokespersons that the government granted approval to the audit bill, but as per the information that is coming to light, 36 amendments made by 6 ministers have received approval. The draft has not been approved. The new amendments need to be cleared by the AG and has to be approved by the cabinet of ministers. That is the mechanism. After 2 weeks of cabinet approval, there will be the cabinet memorandum. As per the information we've received, only the amendments received approval. If they are lying, we will obtain a legal opinion and go to court and solve this problem. And in news from the President's Diary this evening, President Maithripala Sirisena has instructed officials to launch a special program to preserve Tambiharias. A discussion regarding this was held at the President's office this morning. Temples that are constructed on rocks are identified as Tambiharias. There are 204 identified Biharias in the country and preservation work of 6 of them have been completed. The President's media notes that preservation work on 85 other temples will be carried out based on priority. The President had instructed the relevant officials today to provide the necessary human resources and the funds to carry out the preservation work.
Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe held a meeting this afternoon to review the recovery efforts of flood-ravaged areas in Mathura under the patronage.
That is what I need to ask. When you consider all the houses, it adds up to around 4.5 billion. This has been approved by all the divisional secretariats as well. If this approval has also been granted, then why isn't this been paid? That is all I need to ask. What is the delay in paying?
මොකද්ද ඩිලේ එක ගෙවන්න මේකට අපි අමාත්‍ය සැලීට අපි මැදිහත් වෙලා වැඩ පිළිවෙලක් හදන්නම් ඉක්මනින් ගෙවලා අවසන් නොවැම්බර් මාසේ අවසන් වෙනකොට ඔක්කොම ගෙවලා ඉවර කරන්න ආපහු කම්ප්ලේන්ට් එකක් නැමෙන්න කරෙක්ට් නෝ that's a house ඇත්තටම අර මේ ව්‍යාපාර ඊට වඩා හොඳයි.
If the government has provided the money, then what is the problem? If you said you couldn't do it back then, I would have taken a couple of helicopters and dropped it on the ground for anyone to take. At least the economy will be running. On to more local news, a newly constructed bridge was vested in the public today in Angunakolabava area under the auspices of Minister Sajid Premadasa.
The project initiated under the Samata 7 program was built at a cost of 23.9 million rupees.
අත්තඩංගුවට අරගත්ත නිසා
The group that staged a demonstration in Hambantota are saying that since a group of unarmed protesting MPs were arrested, they will be going to the international arena to complain about it. Doesn't the member of the joint opposition have any shame when they make such statements? Until now, they were against local issues going to the international arena. They called people who did this traitors. However, today they are doing the same thing.
The Kalani Development Committee meeting was held today under the auspices of Field Marshal Sara Fonseca.
Held at the Kalani Divisional Secretariat saw the participation of both government and opposition representatives. They took a massive loan to build the Hambantota port and stole half of it. At one point during the Rajapaksa government, this project was only having a revenue of around 16,000 rupees a month. This is an unbearable cost. When we were searching for a way out as a government, we decided to lease it. A group of political refugees who are trying to score points are clamoring, stating that we are attempting to sell this. They misled the public and staged protests. When a court order is violated, your position does not matter. You need to be prepared to go to prison when you violate a court order. Namal Rajapaksa wears the robes of a lawyer, although the entire country knows how he became a lawyer. He is someone who wrote the exam alone in a room with a computer at his side. He might not be aware of the law.
Well, what should Sri Lanka be cautious of when opening up her economy to China, the Asian giant?
Stay tuned for Biz First Review 360 featuring an exclusive interview on Sino-Sri Lanka relations with Dr. Ganeshan Vignaraja, the chair of the Global Economic Program at the Lakshman Khadaragama Institute of International Relations. We'll leave you tonight with the cartoonist Asanga Ladua Hetty take on today's news.
Have yourself a great day. I'm Joel Outscoring.
I'm Bernadine Chai Singhas. Good night.